Gilg Jew, Gilg J as Gilg Nerach.
Should you Claare Gael as Bovilam SHAE. My name is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Have you ever had tell of old Bobby Bob?
And this programme is called Claare Gael, with a thread of it in the English language as Les Snaelia Gilg, and with another thread of it in the Manx Gaelic, Demeter, the mother tongue of Elin Vanim, the Isle of Mann. As Banach and Jurish. The Rev Thomas Stephen has brought us to Ramsey and has spent a day sightseeing, possibly from Lurgy Fristle, and going out to Kirkmackled and Mackled Head. Next he says he hasn't the word to describe the beauty of two other secluded places, which we'll look at first. To Captain and schooner Demeter corcunta silior junge machon na Dania vakait sa Torres Marok, as nicht an meit engel as a heel. Verjare teer jitkus an lout, as a chawe heen herish boord, de varwe heen se voer. We begin with the 1996 Eurovision entry for France, and like the 2022 entry, it's actually in Breton, performed by BRAZ and L'Héritage des CELTES. It's called Diwanit bugale. Tashu geestiach rish radio vanning station en asjoen, beskoller skeliena wostulish, Ellen Vannin.
Die Dostin bugale. Arsenos agagulo de roikalon di me on the mutla on dazon tomato calonu fonesiu resi wames agatlayu Di hörni varanduaru
The 1996 Eurovision entry for France and sung in Breton, but the main vocals were in fact by the Welsh singer Elaine Morgan and Scottish singer Karen Matheson. They were working with Dana BRAZ in the project L'Héritage des Celtes at that time. The Reverend Stephen refers to Glen Ellen, which I think must be Glen Alden, and Sulby Glen he refers to as well. In each of these, he says, a day were not misspent, and when you view them, be it not in Lent, but form a social party at picnic. At squeamish niceties you will not stick, nor care for tables laid in formal style, where nature's charms unite to make you smile. On her soft lap with wildest flowerets crowned, recline, while falling waters murmur round, another and another beauteous scene, o'er Mona's lovely isle are found, I ween. If time allow not further north to ride to see fair fertile Andres and St. Bride and their fine spacious plains in all their pride, some other day appoint. Yet surely these are worth the notice of whoever sees. And so are Derby and Ballaugh so level, where farmers on rich produce feast and revel. We must not yet forget old Ballaugh, and a note translates Ballaugh as the great place. Tam I sin de vel fissem an foliach nishnis, Shane fair benrit shov en gedden reirish na Dania, fair, as nish fashion heen gair toru, de gin G. Cúnaliam. Crain ach fodum cor cúnta giaull na ridden aglach shaw tre tam I roshin pert, hig shen arach, and cherulai mi lunasen. Frach fós, nach wad na greinja kast na trúd. Ta fissem de vel een green giri, no de vel mi ma giaull ter, sems Aurelia. Gebloost thou golfo, gebloost thou Gael en stjora. Me saw en shaw foot na he, hanny me. As, ons dollar en nee, honnig me en red, eshen, jarn, Laid away, ach van meid kjartel je me herrish boerd. Scher vee de redden bijs maar dunje, de redden bijs maar schalter ons ostje na mare, genodig dunje erbij shadow nai shen. Ach, she captain mish, a sign thou gin vergele longem. Think on These Things is a setting by Haydn Wood of lyrics by someone using the pseudonym Petronius. This is Canadian baritone SHAE APLAND.
When in the darkest hour your heart is weary, when the night seems long and all your days are dreary, when faltering faith no consolation brings, oh, let your soul reflect upon these things. Behind the darkness waits the dawn, from deep despair no faith is born, and fears will fly on hope's bright wings. Think on these things, think on these things. Silent tears when life is lonely, and when bitter grief seems meant to hurt you only. You doubt the truths to which your memory clings. Oh, soul a friendly hand to comfort you, a voice that calls to you and sings. Think on these things. Think on these things.
1945 composition by Haydn Wood, words by Petronius. It was performed by SHAE APLAND, accompanied by Sharon Whishart on piano. Ach, nim molle flaen en ve seo, son nim kjan om a lauwen risje wheel, tret am a njat gol toier der feliel, as liausen nim kjan a shen nach lios desen, den rid bentenrish. As esh velen hier mine sai, nim sawel ma anam as ma honor mor captain. Tammy chit de venus vers, as to nei chit. Ma visse chit leshen, gien ma heden rish, fuddy na betray am de yinu veg. Ma vishin moor churich, fuddy de bien chostrail shaw na fedden, as de ginudsen vis feddeni tiggle. Manabel, wel, esh be fissek de chulje dunje, de rou mi firnjachten churmem. De gin G is a voyagin vanich as na nuchen, kuna lesh anam voch al morach, corre ber coolina a churm. De duchisach she brunes farslich van, gen al fenish de chorosh, as raue en dunje heen na din ren na dunversen, gen al perger be de grey. Well, I wondered why we mustn't yet forget old Ballaugh, and I've come across some records that show the Stephen family itself in Ballaugh. Thomas Stephen was the son of Daniel Stephen and Eleanor Corlett, and Thomas Stephen was baptised in Ballaugh, and after he became a churchman, he went as a curate to the Reverend Daniel Gelling of Ballaugh. It would have been Ballaugh Old Church at that time. We heard about Ballaugh New Church a little earlier in the poem, and the poem and the church date from 1832. Thomas Stephen married the Reverend Gelling's daughter, in fact Charlotte. John Feltham, in his tour through the Isle of Man in 1797 and 1798, refers to Charlotte Gelling as the lively Miss G. And one of Thomas and Charlotte's daughters was also named Charlotte, Charlotte Augusta. Charlotte Augusta Stephen married Joseph Gill, who went to live and work and raise their family in Sicily. And now Reverend Thomas Stephen is the grandfather of W.H. Gill and the Deemster J.F. Gill. Music composed and played by fiddle player Jay Unger with his wife Molly Mason on guitar.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Stasiwn yn asiwn to radio fanning as yn sio tasiw geisdiach rys yn Claare sio fys enmysig Claare na Gael. She Robert Gertien Carswell and Enamorum, Robert a Carslach mutter.
Did the ever hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
As we've heard with his personal family connection, it's not surprising that the Reverend Stephen says we must not yet forget old Ballaugh, for rooks renowned, and likewise for its store of wheat, oats, barley. Where are wavy woods, and stagnant marshes, and perennial floods over black bogs and trunks of prostrate trees, which flow in winter like so many seas? Well, the rooks would no doubt take advantage of those cereals that were mentioned, and Ballaugh's trees with their rookeries were obviously quite noticeable at that time as well, as they still are, in fact. However, in the area too is unreclaimed Curragh land at that time. The farm name of the Dollach is rather like the name of Dublin, Dooling, the Black Pool. The Dollach is the Doo Loch, the Black Loch, which shows its origins before it was reclaimed for farming. But we go out further than that here. Then wealthy Ballacane, the Curragh called, with a footnote saying Anglice in English, peat bog. So wealthy Ballacane, where fine fat oxen feed and beeves are stalled. Tan fully unsure shadow air, bunus ulju jow, na vel and captain achen na chrenach, as be shirveish hiach na meriw courage day. Hanna te reichit de be an corp marrow ega courage les faman de vedan Susanesk rish tamult as esh courage back as collu cronk tate as sus grecian an ab. Erno de be a on lookit sa rollic nenin. Tan a shaluder an jane a schlie na chiedbede chorstjach nin enman hanna. Tan a shaluder an jane a schlie na chiedbede chorstjach nin enman hanna, as udsen giri airdersen gus an eye. Gen el man a rhyw wij verder jane men voor de moer, as de moer en dobberen mech jan shen, son lesh barrel a tier motea getreit on, tam I krel de berge na galtel jor chevalia. Bi shirweis na meriw len a verach, as ma saw nim corcion a saw, vis ferelia master foliachten na mara. A shen jera an art show jorish an naiach der. Lior lai Mina Murray, and hach du lai me Lunison. Valusi, fi jou fair fudden he, as gedod mish nod a cardler. Now this is a song in Gaelic na Halbe by the young singers of Scoil Huil na Gaeltach. Sgwyl hiwl na Gaeltacht chor me horri. Saglach van sterm, as houds ve bwrwch ryd master na croc and chimley, hugga me crow. Tre henk red on ledger ve gian drawi gurish guns afforded. Squech the lure ve, charen Lucy douster. Ach Jerry, dach hier tes hugge mooi. Dach oil dach kier dren mi douster on stray, as henkel jam kjor giish gin douster he, as corrie stjachsel jabirish. She red fi chwech en shul na kadle shaw. Son geleest een eigen het croshed ons ach corboiler be, tan kerelek, maar wissen lied aan, jij soel, as die liege lie schien bonus de girach, gus koers kajen erbij. De mages waren Jerine Nistjen, as heisjen schieskus afert, die een rauw weg hachert snee. Vie weggen en slijbaan, as gerd rauw een green Gael, as een air clear as oer, ren komme grauw na tonnen moere, as ots een heen gien dorge no de rauw een gesh corber or ugorishnjachte. And whilst Thomas Stephen pointed out his family home, Ballaugh in Ballaugh, and then took us out to Ballaugh, we now seem to take a random ramble and end up in Mackle, actually. There are what seem unconnected words, a few of them here, both north and south. There looks to be a full stop after that reference to the oxen and beeves of Ballaugh, and then both north and south. Full stop. Now, quite where that fits, I'm not sure. He then says, no man of taste can pass unvisited the falls of fair Renas, for which he gives a footnote, Anglice, the South Division. Now, Rhine means a division, and there's a farm in Baldwin simply called the Rhine, though often the word is reduced to Ren. Jas is the word for south, and we find that reduced to Yas and Ass, but since we're visiting the falls of Sweet Renas, we might expect this to be the division of the waterfall rather than the division of the south. But does that mean he's brought us back to Renas and Glen Helen? It's not very clear, actually. He seems to be rambling about slightly here. Welsh singer Mike Stevens is from Solvach in Shir Benfro, Pembrokeshire, and here he sings about the spirit of the village, a spirit solva.
Lannau llwm yr aber drist, yn lib diferu yn y glaw, I freuddwyd glas y dyddiegent, mewn cofraid mynd yn awr. Rwy'n cofio'r estron sais yn dod, I falu'r dyffryn hwn, nes bod o'n marw. Mae ysbryd solfa'n galw nawr, ei dolydd sydd dan droed y cawr, a'i choed mewn carchar. Mewn rych o ddagrau fel y gwlydd, yn sgrech y gwylan cliw ei llais. Llongau'n hwylion hwyr, brodorion mynd ymaith. Dieithriad sydd yn dwyn y cwm, mewn cadwyn y dir dyffryn hwn, a mae o'n farw. Mae ysbryd solfa'n galw nawr, ei dolydd sydd dan droed y cawr, a'i choed mewn carchar. Yma nawr diwedd y gan, mewn gwair mi gysgau efo hi. Mi daflai'r dagre nôl i'r môr, i donau gwyrdd y lli. Cymdeithas wedi boddi'n llwyr, breuddwyd gwallgof diw a oer yn nyffryn solfa. Mae ysbryd solfa'n galw nawr, ei dolydd sydd dan droed y cawr a'i choed mewn carchar.
Mike Stevens in his song called Ysbryd Solva. Or yet, our Reverend Guide suggests, the fairy haunts of Ballaugh, with another footnote, the Green Place. This large rich farm extends through fertile grounds where marl manure, productive marl, abounds, where scores of acres nod with crops of wheat, and liberal cheer invites and farmers eat. Well, this must be Ballaugh in Mackhold. Our base for sightseeing on the north has been Ramsey, and we made our way here by the west road, but we now leave it to head for Douglas, this time down the coast. Now you return the eastward route to town. Steep is the road, and zigzag up and down. First, as ye slow ascend the hill of Lieg, observe the bay, along the coast each craig and gentle villa, Stepney's sweet abode, which lies below the high and craggy road. Now, Stepney's sweet abode, this is Bellevue, which was built by George Stepney in 1831, and he lived there with his wife Anne and at least one child, I think it was the only child, a daughter, Georgina Francis, baptised in 1829, although she died, I'm afraid, only 13 months later. Tan y tonnen sio saed hi'n stiach trwy bil cwn na perta, gyrys dynje poster ach gol trwy channel. Ons aach denjach van mi genach den boeiach na rauw Jonathan chyn raer ach tolw. Ach, oh, vele tolw na boer, kred te, skist te, ta mi chit de we brauw im neach maar gaan. De rauwach visse mern in de jinnu, as de vodums jinnu riddenach. Een giaull mi lunesen. Sfyr enjachtach verschirwees na Meriwson en Captain Mara bach Jew. Ve gian der au dach bede se furt gian de ve en shen, as van coffin immerkit joris Captain en olju en red vai collu cronk tate gus en rullik. Henk Lucy Merem, as heischen de morgen gus en shan vinkain, gouds high en cortege de ved en Susan Jawin gus en droche there, as henke noes riche. Verbacht my ein as honnigshin en koshiach boer, bonus en kledden red. We had a song about a Scottish thrush last time on Smiorach. That was an Irish tune with a title referring to An Landu as an Chershach, the blackbird and the thrush, played by Nafili.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
As the Jaro showed you Stasiwn and Asiwn Radio Vanim, as SHAE Claare na Gael and Claare Shaw, Mer Peen Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert the Carslachmata.
Haven't heard tell of our Bobby Bob.
Van Dunje Bach, on Luckich, Fagus de Lourd and Vinkain, the Rensian Shadowurry, Tre Henk and Tre as Honikshin de Huljurid. Ve Jean the Rau Lucy Bach Courage asked the Moor. Ve Niau Fech as Niau Aishach Ulju and Tre. As Genodum mach Smunian de Velen Dremel Exonei Ginnaworry. Squech de Luri ons onrid. Ginny goi rishdau de vel orer bees on Niau Fechid. Ne bevis, ne veli heen tickle. Ta or Elion ons huishes vermanches Wales Bach feathernich as maru, mor a Jew ern Vinkain, as a wannel brish. Ve Jean mor durt en fairly, de renne tujum goel se vink, as sort enjach de ouwen ersen. Oder au komme de aal, as de skogs en edenegge, as durt na denia de renne cora de crow. Shan dunje mien Bach mor wei. Fuddy de rauwe nagen bes, lesh de soelienegge, gouds vei parteel. Gemillish is enjach dach ta Lucy, de wel I gennachten poeren de skieren at de slaelia. Well, we find out more about George Stepney's house, Bellevue, in May 1836, when the property was advertised for sale by Mr. Stepney as the present proprietor and occupier. A substantially and well-finished, comfortable and commodious villa, known by the name of Bellevue, fit for the reception of a gentleman's family, situated in the parish of Kirkmachold. The house was built 5 years ago by the present proprietor and occupier. Now, this advert in the Manx Sun tells us, within a short distance from the house is a capital walled yard and a 2-stalled stable and carriage house, with a loft over each, and a cow-house for 2 cows, an excellent, well-sheltered and productive garden, and between 5 and 6 acres of capital grassland immediately about the house, part of which is ornamentally planted. The house is beautifully situated, commanding an extensive and delightful view of the Bay of Ramsey, the town, and adjacent country. Our Cornish band Sawenna, with the vocal of Simon Lockley, he'll be performing the Cornish song Goon Lays, with an early contribution, though, from the youngsters of the Cornish dance group Otten the Moz.
En hun lees. Me a close, a tros and perskes minnes. Buzz me a trovies, and pesk bros no eloshe. Alle bubble and tawan blistre, me or thee gan singy.
The Cornish band Sawenna, and a vocal there by Simon Lockley, in a song about Goon-Lays, a hamlet which is about halfway between the Camborne Redruth area to the west and Falmouth to the east. Goon is a down, and Lays is from glaze, meaning green, so very like our own glass. The green down, Goon-Lays. Also, says George Stepney in this notice that he put in the Manx Sun about his house, in fine weather, a distant view of the Scotch and Cumberland coasts and mountains, and is conveniently situated for sea bathing, being only about 300 yards from the beach, on which the sands are firm and good, and where there is a convenient harbour for a person desirous of keeping a yacht. The house is surrounded by good roads, and is distant from Ramsey about 1.5 miles by either road or beach, and 14 miles from Douglas. During the summer, steam packets from Liverpool to Glasgow pass almost daily through Ramsey Bay, calling generally at Ramsey to land and receive passengers, and calling twice a week during the summer months for the same purpose. So, here in May 1836, George Stepney was the proprietor and occupier of Bellevue. The same notice appeared weekly until the 26th of August. But then, on the 2nd of September, the notice, in almost identical wording, refers to the late George Stepney, Esquire. Carnish, vi courage asked the moor, jorish tachert beg, dasen noch dug mi man a Gael, gerde wel mish vi graiach beien. Fair Jane Dania hengt niske saw de mennig de Ian Max on the Nuljing, van moordege gairter. Gen ellen moorde merish de golugeert. Tad nunjes jou kuun. As havak mi riw en dunje corrie, as gegeel mi riw en moorde gaunsterie. Truden shirveish, had jinnach en moorde chitges of anstjer, va vink meren. Ach, chom a hien kuste standaarten vai, as gaunsterie as gollel. Renne vansje lordrish de mean, as de garu, as de corrie. Ach, a jinnach eder chit, na square vai jinnu fire. Va sauce de jaulus jinnu as a Julian kai. As uljun a geistjien en ega friggenach gursh arbel ket, tret a drach yin a weg. Va jere, henken dunje niste vei fergach, as renne limanusas, renne breppel en morde. Well, now we have some insects for you. First we hear of 2 little caterpillars. At least one of those turns into a butterfly, and then we hear of a little ladybird. These are members of Kirchen Kujach.
Brother Veg, snowlish tread the mole. She's a cousin, master the blen hole. There, Brother Veg, snowlish tread the mole. She's a cousin, master the blen hole.
Follican, jergas bui, ansagera Jew. Follican, jergas bui, smile yamu. Follican,
Members of Kurjan Kujak with rhymes about Der Fradag Weg, 2 little caterpillars, Folliken, a butterfly, and Delag Brek Weg, the little ladybird. Gael, Lloris Scruffa Wannel, as Rene Liejarnes Liejawe, Schies a Ljak Ai, Orit and Vinksite. Geleers wanneer is je glaag, Henke rid bach, de wij tostach, as Henke de wij ulju krauw. Gedug eber skepeel, ach renne krome schies, as krauw as kruidjul. Well, I'd be interested to find out more about George Stepney. Had his business interests, whatever they may have been, gone wrong? Had he been in health for some time, or did the pressure of a sudden change to his situation, loss of wealth, cause his sudden demise? Well, we return to George Stepney next time as we dip once again into a poetical guide to the Isle of Mann, which we're coming to the end of, and this is written by the Rev Thomas Stephen. Between 7 and 9 here on Manx Radio, you can join Christy DeHaven, and then at 9 o'clock Judith Lay will be here with sundown through into Monday morning. We'll be closing the programme with some music from the band La Bottine Souriante, beautiful piece called Ciel d'Automne, the sky of autumn. Ach, Shene Riche, Sindland Square Vai Riche. And so, until the next time then, this is Robert Cutting Carswell, or Robert the Carslach.
Have I heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
Wishing you a very good night, Eve. I'm a Crieri Wulliu as Ortserlier, as me Yeri and shared you.